About 22 hours ago, we shaped a couple of ovals. They're in the fridge, they've been cold proofing. Since then, I've got some cast iron heating up in the oven. Let's turn that dough into some bread. All right, which one should we do first? How about the one that is naked? The one with no liner? Why not? Okay, pot. I have this awesome Lodge cast iron Dutch oven. It's a 5.5 quart. I think they call it a combo cooker. Love this thing. It's easy to load into because you can use the skillet as the base and the deep side as the top. You'll see what I mean in a minute. It's in the oven at 450. It's been in there for about 15 minutes, getting nice and hot because we want that cast iron to create extra heat around our dough so it expands, it oven springs, and can stand up, you know, a nice ear. It traps steam, so we get a really beautiful crust, and you know, it creates an even cooking heat. So look at this guy. When we put it into the basket, it looked like this. It is expanded. You know, it takes time for the ambient, like room temperature of the dough to cool down, even in, you know, while it's in the fridge. So in that time, it's warm enough to keep, you know, expanding. Parchment paper circle. If you don't know how to make one of these, link in the description. Simple process, easy to do. I like Paper Chef brand parchment paper. You can get it at Costco. Works great. We need a pastry brush. We're gonna brush off any excess rice flour that's on the surface of our dough, and a razor blade. This is an Astra brand, double-edged safety razor blade. I shave with these. You can get like a pack of 100 for like $5. You could buy a handle, a lame, and you know, have a different experience scoring this. It comes with some different attachments. I prefer just the naked blade in my hands. I just like that tactile feedback of being able to hold the blade itself. Okay, the pot is hot. I've got everything I need. This is gonna be kind of a quick process. Pot's gonna come out, dough's gonna get tipped out, score it, load it, we go. We're not really gonna do any goofing around. So everything ready before we do this. Landing pad for my pot. All right, let's go. So you can see what I mean. I've got this awesome little skillet side that I can easily load my dough into. All right, so I'm centering my circle on top of the basket. I'm gonna give it just a little tap. Comes out super easy. And then I've got my pastry brush to take off any of this excess rice flour. And we're just gonna brush it off. Rice flour comes off real easy. Makes a nice dry skin for us to score right now. Kind of disappears. Bread flour, you will not have the same experience. It'll be sticky and gummy and you won't get it all off. So I recommend the rice flour, even though, you know, now you got an extra ingredient. Okay, razor blade, get out of my way. And the razor blade, we're just using the very corner. We're gonna go from 12 to 6, not vertical, but kind of offset at an angle with the blade. So we're trying to hook the corner kind of under a lip. All right, so I'm gonna start here, get it in there, and just a little bit of arc to it. You know, kind of going around. If you miss a little bit, like I missed a little bit here, it's cool, you can go back over it. And that's it. We're going into the skillet side. Got our deep side. And we're going in the oven. And I'm gonna leave it at 450. It's gonna bake for 45 minutes. We're not gonna turn it. We're not gonna check it. We're not gonna take a temperature. Bulldog needs to go outside. Making bulldog sounds. All right, you gonna go out? Let's go. Okay, like I was saying, we're not gonna check it. We're gonna leave it in there. It's gonna stay covered for the entire 45 minutes that it bakes. And I know some people will bake their bread for just 30 minutes and then uncover it. It's done expanding after the first 18 to 23 minutes. It's not gonna get any bigger. You really are just, you know, finishing up cooking it through and, you know, eventually getting color. So you could go 30 minutes and then uncover it and get color. I just prefer 45. It's really repeatable and consistent. You don't have to worry about burning it. I don't bother with an internal temperature. I know some people try and hit like 205 or 195 to 205, something in that neighborhood. I don't see a reason to put a hole in the crust. I know that it's gonna get through that temperature range when it's cooked, covered in cast iron for 45 minutes. I will pull it out at that 45-minute mark and you'll see that it does need more color. So it will go back in and the pot will be hot and we'll cook the other one. And we can compare kind of what exterior, aesthetic that we get lined versus unlined. So we'll catch up in a bit. All right, it's almost, I got like 10 seconds left here. It's been 45 minutes. Thank you, timer. Let's take a look at our batch of bread, our dough that is now bread. And it's always kind of a surprise, no matter how many times you score a loaf of bread, it always comes out a little different. You never know what you're gonna get. But that looks pretty good. That's a nice little ear, kind of stood up. It's pretty centered. You can see what I'm talking about as far as color goes. This does need to go back in the oven for my preferences. You see the bottom is what it is. It's not gonna get any darker than that. So I'm gonna leave it at 450. This guy's gonna go in to get more coloring. And our pot is hot. So let's do our other batch of dough. And I would say this guy is bigger than the other one, and part of that's due to the handkerchief insulating, making it take longer for it to cool down, for the cold of the refrigerator to penetrate and slow down the fermentation process of our dough. All right, we've got a liner here. I'm gonna use the same parchment paper disc. Get them centered, just gonna tap them out. And we won't need to brush this guy out. There's no flour in it. And there he is. It comes out easy. Pastry brush. There's a little bit of rice flour on here, not much. I think I was probably a little less generous with the rice flour because I was gonna have the liner, which gives me a lot of protection. Guarantees the dough coming out. And this is, again, the magic of rice flour. It just goes away. Okay, 2 loaves of bread give you twice the practice with scoring. And you can always give a loaf of bread away if you don't want to, but getting the practice is great. I like how that came out. See if I can match it or do a little bit better. So I'm going from 12 to 6, a little bit of an arc, a little bit of an undercut using the corner of the blade. And as far as like how it feels to me, it doesn't feel any drier or wetter from having the bandana liner. I want a little more right there. Okay, here we go. Number 2, let's get you in the oven. And same thing, we're just going 450 the whole way, 45 minutes. And make sure you keep a close eye on the first guy. Make sure you do not burn this multi-day project, this amazing sourdough bread you've been working on. As far as time for this first one to color it, it might be, here we go, timer, 45 minutes. It might be like a 3 or 4 minute thing, maybe more. It just really depends on you. Like, what do you want your finished dough bit? What do you want your bread to look like? Okay, we'll catch up in 45 minutes. I will unveil the second one and you can see what color I went for with the first one. Oh yeah, and the first basket. So this is a bottle brush, like for a stainless steel water bottle. I know it looks like a toilet bowl brush. Great tool to scrape out any residual rice flour that's stuck in your basket. I just go tap it out in the grass. Don't wash these. Just brush it out. It's like a soft to medium bristle brush, and then let them dry out and it's ready to go for the next time. All right, we're coming to the end of our 45 minutes. Turn my timer off. Let's take a look at what we got on the second one. Does it look as good or better? Oh, let's see. I think I actually like this ear better because it's just a little cleaner, but that's just my preference. Okay, I'm gonna put this one back in because it also needs more coloring in my opinion. So when do we get to slice them and taste them? You've been waiting all this time, smelling amazing bread baking in your house. Your family is probably asking, when do we get to have bread? 2 hours. You need to let your bread cool for 2 hours. You can get away with an hour, but it's gonna be real soft and warm inside, and you might struggle to slice it. But if you cut into it before the first hour is up, you will release all of the steam that is trapped in there, and your bread will completely dry out. All of your hard work of this multi-day project will be completely wasted. So resist cutting into it before at least an hour. 2 is better, and even at 2 hours, it's still gonna be a little bit warm inside. We'll catch up after that one's done coloring and they've both cooled off, and we'll cut one open so we can take a look at the interior texture, the crumb. So I'll see you then. Okay, so it's been 2 hours for this loaf of bread. This is the one that we cooked first. It was the unlined one in the banneton. This is our second one. Really similar outcomes. Usually I expect the lined one to have a little bit less of the texturing from the basket, like the lines. It's pretty similar. As far as aesthetics, you know, kind of the same score mark, but sort of a different outcome here. It looks like this one got hung up as it was trying to, you know, rip open and stand up a mohawk. I'm gonna give one of these away. And I always tend to give away the one that I think is prettier, and I think it's this one, just because the ear is a little cleaner. Just looks a little bit more, I don't know, kind of organized. This one's a little bit more chaotic. They're both really cool. I'd give them both like, you know, a solid A and maybe A minus, just because the way this, you know, sort of ripped open on this side. But 2 beautiful little 400-gram ovals. All right, so we're gonna cut them open and just catch a cross section just so you can see the crumb. So this is not a ciabatta. This is not going to have giant holes in it and be full of air. This is just a regular 75% hydration sourdough oval. Bread knife. A bread knife is serrated because it's a saw. So we're gonna use a sawing motion and light pressure. Let's let the blade do the work. We don't want to squish our bread. So, you know, let the knife cut the bread, don't force it. Yeah, I'm just gonna do a center cut. Should be messy, should be noisy. This is a 14-inch bread knife. It's giant. It makes it so I always have enough clearance on both sides to actually use the blade. So there we go. We've got a light, fluffy crumb, and you could hear it when I was cutting it. The crust is super crusty and kind of a cool, you know, you can see the mohawk standing up here. Beautiful little loaf of bread. As far as the crumb, I like this crumb. You know, there's kind of a deep air pocket there and maybe out there. You know, it's the kind of crumb that if we were to stand this up, make slices across it, toast it back up, get it darker and warm and bring it to the table, we could put butter on it and it's not just gonna drip through all the holes in the bread. So this is a nice crumb. I like this for a regular sourdough kind of oval or a round or, you know, something of that nature. This one is pretty, he's cool. He's gonna be a gift. But you know, you can kind of see the difference. You know, every time you score one, you never know what you're gonna get. But always make 2, so you get double the practice on scoring and shaping and baking and all that good stuff, so you can get better at developing the skill on a much shorter learning curve.